What's going on, everybody? This is going to be a quick patch note video on 13.4. I made one yesterday while streaming, but I didn't really like the quality of it. I kind of ummed a lot, and I just wasn't very in the sync at that point. I was, I think, 8 hours in, and it just didn't sound very good. So we're going to do another one. I did kind of talk about some things pretty quickly on stream, but the gist here is going to be kind of linked here. I'll link the patch notes in general. If you want this image, I'm going to use it as a thumbnail here, but long story short, the big things are going to be Sure Shot's getting Omega nerfed. AD is going to be kind of nerfed in general. Sans Z getting a slight buff. AP should be viable. Threat level maximum, Hextech Gunblade, and a couple other things. We're getting Gadget Changes Crest, so on and so forth. Big cosmetic changes. We're going to getting the Ari Star Guardian chibi, as well as base Ari chibi. I personally like the design of the base chibi Ari more than I like the Star Guardian Ari chibi, but that being said, it's not the end of the world. Like, I think both look good. The end of the day, though, you're going to be required to open at least 61 jewels to get it. It's only available until 13.6, whereas I believe the Star Guardian Ari is limited. This one is not limited. And yeah, the chibi Ari will remain past 13.6, so you'll always be able to get the chibi Ari, whereas you'll not always be able to get the Star Guardian chibi Ari. So kind of keep that in mind, guys. If you don't necessarily want to spend the 1900 RP right now, there is potentially time for you to wait, kind of take some of those Prime Gaming capsules and kind of save up a little bit, right? So kind of keep that in mind. There will be some time in the future. We're gonna get a lot of new Little Legend variants, as always. We're gonna get some new Fury horns. I think they look good. There's not a whole lot really changing on some of these. It's just reskin colored at a certain point. The skin recolored skins are neat, but that's not really for me. It's kind of just a whatever at a certain point. So, some Hushtail ones now as well. Mostly just, again, recolors. So we'll kind of deal with that. Most of them, I believe, are going to be available through these new Starry-Eyed bundles, which I will not personally be taking advantage of. That being said, if that's your thing, go for it. I don't really care about cosmetics at a certain point. I already kind of got a handful of them that I use, and that's kind of it. So on to the next stuff. Player damage. Player damage is going to be changed here. It's going to be now at 1 less player damage if you're losing by more than 5 units. So I think this is going to be interesting, because I think right now games end faster, which I think is generally a good thing, but it feels really bad when you're loss streaking or have struggle stabilizing in stage 2 and 3. I think the biggest problem is, for me personally, when I first started playing in set 6 and 7, you went to stage 6 and occasionally even stage 7 in some games if the lobby was kind of always slow hitting each other. Right now, if one guy has that crazy Samira 2 at 3.5, or like a crazy Echo Gadgetine build during stage 3, no matter what, if someone high rolls like crazy, it tanks the lobby HP super quickly. You'll have one guy with 97 HP, a guy with 78 HP, and then everyone else sub 50 going into stage 4. And what ends up happening then is, like, you get people who don't even really make it to stage 4-7 sometimes, which feels really, really bad. That being said, kind of the name of the game. Anvils are going to be changed from 3 to 4. This makes it so that you're going to have more possibilities with anvils, giving you that option to not always get defensive, not always get offensive, not always get AP, and not always get AD, right? At this current point, sometimes it felt bad where you would hit really hard in all offensive items or all defensive items, and it would be all the typings you don't need, right? You'd get, let's say you really needed to get a tier, you really needed to get a rod, and you got a bow, a glove, and then a BF. Kind of just screws you there, right? So at least you'll have some flexibility now there, a little bit more item optimizations, a little bit more item options. I also think this is a really good thing, though. The early game gold distribution is changing. Your last minion will no longer be the one that drops the 6 gold if you get 6 gold on stage 1.5. It's going to be the one slightly earlier. This gives you less, like, click intensive APM weirdness, as well as server lag can cause some issues. I personally think there's been times where I go for that gold, I pick it up immediately, I start spam clicking all those units and only buy one of two, or one of four, right? Or two of four, because there just simply isn't enough time in between my like finishing of the units and then someone else is finishing the units, and then the time between the round ending and next round cycle starting. So I think this will be nice. I think it's going to be some nice quality of life things with the system changes. Longer games potentially, or at least just more healthy games. I don't necessarily want to see it where games go to stage 7, because that means you're gonna get like a 45-minute game versus a 30-minute game, or like a mid 20-minute game, which I don't personally like always going 45 minutes, because then that game in which you lose kind of feels even worse. You just sucks to put it nicely. It just sucks when that happens, right? When you go 35, 40 minutes and you still lose LP, because then you're now down an hour of your time to be at 0 LP that day, rather than being at plus 25 in that same time period, right? Whatever it may be. So there's going to be some changes now to admin as well as gadgeting. The rapid fire cannon is no longer going to be a thing for gadgetines. We're going to have now a gadgeting Titan's Resolve, which I think is going to be really, really good. I think it's actually going to be probably the best thing to get dropped at times with 5 gadgeting, because I think it will be good on your tanks. I think it'll be good on your damage. I think it'll be good on everyone. Whereas sometimes the rapid fire cannon just kind of felt bad. Like there really wasn't a good user of it. Now we're going to have 4 admin boosts now as well. So 30% of a boost with 4 admin versus just getting an extra drop, or an extra, whatever it may be, extra HP, extra attack speed only. We're going to get the 30% boost, meaning that it'll give some viability to going for admin more frequently, just because you're going to get a boost to it. That being said, it's going to give 4 admin just a power spike in general. With them only going 5% change on almost all of these, or just a slight change in general to all of these, the 30% boost will add quite a bit of extra power spike, which I think will make admin a little bit more viable. Right now, admins kind of feel meh based on the RNG of what abilities you get, what options you get given. And so in my opinion, I think admin still is going to kind of be RNG based and not really worth playing. I think TFT is all about mitigating how much RNG you have in front of you, right? Because if you can give yourself the best potential odds, I think you always will have better chance at being able to take a top 4, right? Taking something that's really RNG, such as like rolling for 3 stars, or playing for specific admins, or playing for a chase trait, you know, going 6 renegade, going 9 laser core. I think those are generally bad in the sense that you're going to be playing 1st or 8th, which is kind of bad for climbing. It's great for clip games, which makes it tough because you sometimes want to go for them if you're in my position, in this position of content creation. That being said, I think they're just generally not worth playing and chasing for in most situations, because you just have such a poor chance of actually getting anything done with them. That being said, we'll see and how it goes. I think admin will be better if they allowed one reroll. One opportunity, at least on the first one or the second one. Give me a reroll, give me an option to not get completely cucked by the RNG of it. That being said, you know, keep going on. The new Titans Resolved gadgetines, I think, are going to be extremely good. You get AD, AP, and attack speed. You also get a stacks up to 30 times. So that's going to be a lot of AD, a lot of AP, and a lot of attack speed. As well as good armor and good magic resist. I think this is going to be the best item for gadgetines now. I just straight up, I think it's going to be so strong. So strong. So we'll kind of see. Because I mean, theoretically, you're getting insane AD, insane AP, insane attack speed. Now, granted, you're not going to get it in every scenario where you actually max that out, but it will still really be strong. I also, again, as I said, I don't think rapid fire cannon really made sense for the composition that was gadgetine. It just didn't work much with a AP majority gadgetine and versus, well, I mean, yes, every gadgetine is really AP, so why would you want the rapid fire cannon? So it's kind of probably not going to be missed Hackers now are going to target the closest enemy on the backline rather than the lowest health, as well as the bug fix to hacker him. I've had this happen a few times where they place one unit or 2 units in the backline, and it like bugged out to where my unit was getting targeted by like say an Echo when Echo shouldn't have been, and caused my hacker him to kind of get RNG'd into the corner and then never actually kill their damage dealer. So that should hopefully help. We're going to see a change to Mech Prime 5 as well. I think this is going to be mostly used for Draven comps, I would say. There's really no other reason I think you go Mech 5. It might make the Spat a little bit more usable. Or Mech Crest or whatever it's called. But we'll kind of see. They're nerfing Sure Shots really bad though. 6 and 16 versus 8 and 20 respectively. And remember, Sure Shots were at 10 at one point. So I don't know how this will affect Samira. I kind of have to think we'll see based on what the tactics.tools data is showcasing and so forth. Like, it's going to be a little bit of a throw your hands in the air and see angle. I think it will probably still be viable at a certain point. Even looking at just today when patch dropped, at Diamond Plus, Aegis Samira is still the strongest option, but that doesn't mean it's always going to be the best. We're seeing Viego played a little bit worse in that rank discrepancies, but we'll kind of see. A lot of these minor changes I'm not going to go too in-depth on. Lulu better, Galio better at low ranks, high rating for Galio slightly worse, crowd control no longer on Gangplank when he uses his ability. Malphite being buffed, Fiora being buffed, not too much here. 2 Lee Sins no longer remove their mana locks, meaning that 2 Lee Sins aren't going to be able to just sit there and go pop with the shield like they were previously. And I think that's going to make the Heart Comp and Cleansing Safeguard a little bit weaker. That being said, I don't think it will be bad. I still think it'll be a good enough comp if you high roll it. We'll kind of see though. So Jax is slightly getting bug fixed again, or just bug fixed in general with the spell damage now properly updating, meaning that he's getting nerfed preemptively, it looks like, because of that. Slight nerfs, actually, quite large nerfs across the board, 30 to 40, and then 65, excuse me, no, 75. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. Going to be pretty large nerfs because of that bug fix. Kai'Sa's getting a nerf at 3, a buff at 1, which I think will make Kai'Sa probably the strongest unit to item hold early now at level 1, especially during stage 2. LeBlanc's getting a pretty sliceable damage increase. Belveth is getting a nerf, Asol buffed, Soraka, Talia, and Zed all getting buffs. I think those are all underperforming for cost, so that makes sense. I think sneakily Asol, especially with the carry Augs, or just any of his hero Augs, will be really strong. Sneakily enough. Aphelios getting a buff to purple and red, nerf to blue. Urgot getting a frontline damage nerf, or frontline tank nerf, but I think the biggest thing is that it's going down 10 or 5, 7, and whatever it would be, 24% respectively for the Undertow max percent health damage. We're going to see some changes to Bloodthirster, as well as Chalice, Deathblade, Gargoyle. I think most of these are probably warranted. I feel like Hodge is pretty bad right now. I feel like Morello is not utilized any, much more than Sunfire. Gargoyles feels kind of underutilized, so I think right now this probably makes Gargoyles probably, I would argue, like the best tank item again, especially on something like Zac. It feels good. Yeah, that's kind of being said, like most of the stuff makes sense. Protector's Vow got nerfed last, I think it's underutilized. Sunfire overutilized. Zeke's underutilized, right? They're trying to make those items kind of more in tow and in balance, so they're slammable and usable, which is good, in my opinion. I think BT, though, probably going to be more arguably a Belveth or Zed item now again. It felt kind of bad previously. A lot of hero adjustment. Hero augment adjustments. I'm not going to go through all of them. There's a ton of them here. I will kind of like stay here on the main page. We're seeing stacks on stacks, starting damage being higher. Things good, and so on and so forth. Kingslayer bonus damage is lower. I'm trying to just like note the sizable ones that I'm noticing as we go down here. Jubilant Veil slightly higher. Jubilant Veil for 30 seconds now. Oh boy, so Jubilant Veil makes it so those units are basically permanent immune. Sneakily good with the couple different builds now. Star Guardians, Duelists, etc. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Sleepy is going to be at 4 now instead of 3. The Sejuani is getting a slightly higher shatter bonus. Both Zed augments are being increased. We're seeing some different 5-cost changes. Nunu being buffed, Janna being buffed, Aphelios being nerfed, and locked and loaded one at least. Syndra's getting also a buff. Gadgeting traits are feeling good. I feel like Gadgeting now being changed to be an emblem will make it so that you can play a carry with Gadgeting emblem now, which will be kind of interesting. You can maybe Gadgeting emblem like an 80 carry if you really want to get some variety in your composition, which I think will be nice. You could theoretically Gadgeting emblem Zed because of Zoe for Hacker, giving you a AD carry with a lot of AD and a lot of resistances, but you would not have much other synergistic value outside of that. But keep that in mind, you know. I think that kind of makes sense. They're changing some augments here. Ancient Archive still feels bad. Ionic changed for Protective Vow with Anima Squad Crown, which felt really good. Big Friend being reduced a little bit. Built Different getting a buff here. Cyber Shell, Cyber, Uplink, and Electrocharge are getting buffs makes sense. They feel really bad. Gadgeting Heart is now a Silver Aug. Keep this in mind. I think Gadgeting Soul. If you can get Gadgeting Heart and then Gadgeting Crest, I think this is a really, really strong top 4 comp. I don't know if it's a first comp, but top 4 feels good. I've played it a couple times. High-end Chopping nerf, not surprised. Knife's Edge buff, not surprised. Both felt really OP and high-end. Knife's Edge feels really bad right now. The Laser Core Crest is being removed, so I think this is going to make Laser Core a little bit less of a like good vertical comp, but I think viability early game makes sense. And then Max getting a slight nerf as well, which I think makes sense. It's really strong. And then after that, the only other thing is iOS 12 support is dropped. Keep that in mind, guys, if you're playing iOS 12 TFT. It's kind of gone now. Other than that, though, there really isn't a whole lot. Bug fixes galore. Bug fixes, bug fixes, bug fixes. Keep in mind, go through all these. I really can't. I can't say if these are all gonna be like the biggest things ever or not. You know, it just doesn't seem like it's that big of a difference, that big of a change on some of these. I think Viego buffs and fixes because of this are going to be huge. There's going to be a lot of tooltip fixes, small things across the board in that sense, but civilians no longer granting mana after civilians are dead, I think is a huge difference as well. And then that's kind of it. I mean, that's kind of it in general, guys. I think this will be a big patch in the way that there's going to be a lot of changes to make AP more viable. How good, I'm not sure, but viability is always a good thing, right? I think right now, sure shots are going to be less oppressive, but still good. And Belveth is kind of in a limbo to me. I don't know how good she'll be anymore. Item holder, yes. Carry, time will tell. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If so, please make sure to like and comment. Drop a sub if it was something that you want to keep seeing more of. If there's anything you want me to cover or talk about in terms of certain strategies that you think are underutilized, how you should reroll, how you should go vertical, when to roll down, when to econ up, when to do anything that involves TFT stuff, let me know. I'd be glad to take into account some of that stuff and take and hear your guys' thoughts. So I hope you guys enjoy it. Catch you guys next time. Peace.